Deep in the heart of Thailand, nestled amongst rice paddies and bamboo forests lie ancient stories. These stories are as old as the land itself, woven into the very fabric of the culture and traditions of the Thai people. They are not just tales told to entertain. They are lessons, warnings, and reflections of the fears and beliefs that have shaped generations. They are whispered on the wind, carried through the rustling leaves and the swaying bamboo. The very air seems to hum with the echoes of these ancient legends, as if the spirits themselves are speaking through the elements. The wind, the trees, and the earth all play a part in keeping these stories alive, ensuring they are never forgotten. They are passed down through generations, from the elders to the young, around campfires and in the warmth of family homes. Each retelling adds a new layer, a new detail, making the stories richer and more vivid. The children listen with wide eyes, absorbing every word, knowing that one day, they too will be the keepers of these tales. These are not happy tales. They are tales of horror, meant to instill a sense of caution and respect for the unknown. The darkness of the forest, the eerie silence of the night, all serve as reminders of the dangers that lurk just beyond the safety of the village. The fear in the eyes of those who tell these stories is real, a reflection of the terror that these legends inspire. They speak of a malevolent spirit, the Phi Pob. This spirit is not just a figment of imagination but a deeply ingrained part of the cultural psyche. The Phi Pob is said to haunt the forests and the fields, always on the lookout for its next victim. Its presence is felt in the chill of the night air, in the rustle of the leaves, and in the shadows that seem to move on their own. The Phi Pob is not a friendly ghost. It hungers, it craves, it wants only one thing: human flesh. This insatiable hunger drives it to possess the bodies of the living, turning them into monstrous versions of their former selves. The transformation is painful and terrifying, a fate worse than death. The possessed become tools of the Phi Pob, spreading fear and death wherever they go. Villagers whisper of its glowing red eyes, visible even in the darkest night. These eyes are said to be the windows to its malevolent soul, burning with an unquenchable thirst for human flesh. The sight of these eyes is enough to send shivers down the spine of even the bravest soul, a reminder of the ever-present danger that the Phi Pob represents. They say it possesses the bodies of the living, twisting them into monstrous versions of their former selves. The transformation is a gruesome process, marked by excruciating pain and a complete loss of humanity. The victims become unrecognizable, their bodies contorted and twisted into grotesque forms. The once familiar faces of friends and family become horrifying masks of terror, a constant reminder of the Phi Pob's power. The legend of the Phi Pob is more than just a scary story. It's a warning, a cautionary tale meant to remind the villagers of the importance of respect and caution. The ancient scrolls, filled with warnings and instructions, are a testament to the seriousness with which this legend is taken. The fear and respect for the Phi Pob are deeply ingrained in the culture, a constant reminder of the thin line between the living and the spirit world. A reminder to be careful, to be respectful, to never let your guard down, especially not in the dark. The villagers know that the forest is not just a place of beauty, but also a place of danger. The dimly lit pathways and the dense bamboo forests are home to many spirits, both benevolent and malevolent. The Phi Pob is just one of many, but it is the most feared, a constant presence in the minds of those who live near the forest. For you never know when the Phi Pob might be near, its hunger growing, its eyes watching, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The villagers live in constant vigilance, always aware of the possibility of an encounter with this malevolent spirit. The fear of the Phi Pob is a part of their daily lives, a reminder of the thin veil that separates the living from the spirit world. The legend of the Phi Pob is a testament to the power of these ancient stories, a reflection of the deep connection between the people and the land they call home. My village was a peaceful place. The air was always filled with the sweet scent of jasmine and the sound of children's laughter. Life was simple, predictable. We worked hard, we helped each other, and we honored our traditions. I never thought for a moment that our tranquil existence would be shattered, that our village would become the hunting ground for something sinister, that I would come face to face with the stuff of nightmares. But the Phi Pob doesn't care about peace. It doesn't care about tradition. It only cares about its next meal, and it had set its sights on us. It began with Yabai, a frail old woman who lived at the edge of the village. Her cottage, nestled among the trees, was a place of mystery and whispers. The villagers often spoke of her in hushed tones, sharing tales of her peculiar habits and strange occurrences that seemed to follow her. She had always been a solitary figure, preferring the company of her thoughts to that of people. Her days were spent in quiet contemplation, her eyes often lost in the distance as if she were seeing things beyond the ordinary. But recently, her behavior became increasingly erratic. She would mutter to herself, her words a jumble of incoherent phrases. The villagers noticed her wandering the streets at odd hours, her steps unsteady and her gaze unfocused. Her eyes, once warm and inviting, turned cold and distant. They no longer held the gentle kindness that the children of the village remembered. Instead, they seemed to harbor a deep, unsettling darkness. One evening, as the sun began to set, I saw her walking towards the forest. The sky was painted in hues of orange and purple, casting long shadows on the ground. Yabai moved with a purpose, her frail frame silhouetted against the dying light. Her gait was strange, jerky. Each step seemed to be a struggle, as if she were fighting against an invisible force. Her movements were unnatural, almost puppet-like, and it sent a shiver down my spine. Her head twitched, as if she were listening to an unheard voice. It was as though she were receiving instructions from some unseen entity, her body responding to commands that no one else could hear, and her eyes, those once kind eyes, burned with an eerie red glow. It was a sight that filled me with dread, a stark contrast to the gentle woman I once knew. The glow seemed to pulse with a life of its own, hinting at something sinister lurking within. Fear, cold and sharp, pierced my heart. It was a primal fear, one that spoke of ancient evils and dark omens. I could feel it in the air, a tangible presence that wrapped around me like a suffocating shroud. I knew then that something was terribly wrong. This was not the Yabai we knew. Something had changed, something profound and terrifying. The realization hit me like a wave, leaving me breathless and filled with a sense of impending doom. Something dark had come to our village. It was a presence that seemed to seep into every corner, casting long shadows and filling the air with a sense of foreboding. The village, once a place of peace and tranquility, now felt like a place of nightmares. The next morning, a blood-curdling scream ripped through the village. We rushed to the source, our hearts pounding in our chests. The scene that greeted us was nothing short of horrifying. One of the village elders lay dead in the center of the village square. His body was mangled, his flesh torn and gnawed. The villagers gasped in horror. This was no animal attack. This was something far more sinister. The legend of the Phi Pob, once dismissed as a mere story, now became our terrifying reality. Fear became our constant companion. Sleep offered no escape, only haunted by nightmares of glowing eyes and gnashing teeth. Whispers of the Phi Pob filled every corner of the village. People were afraid to leave their homes after dark. The once vibrant village square stood empty, shrouded in an eerie silence. The laughter of children was replaced by the sound of worried whispers. We were trapped in a nightmare, hunted by something we didn't understand and couldn't control. Something had to be done. We couldn't live like this, paralyzed by fear. The village elders gathered, their faces etched with worry. They decided to consult with the village shaman, a wizened old man said to possess ancient knowledge. The shaman listened intently to our tale, his eyes filled with a mixture of sadness and resolve. He confirmed our worst fears. The Phi Pob was indeed among us, and it wouldn't rest until it had claimed more victims. There was only one hope, he said, a dangerous ritual that could trap the spirit. It was a desperate gamble, but we had nothing left to lose. The ritual was long and arduous, filled with chanting, incense and offerings to appease the spirits. The air crackled with tension as the shaman performed his ancient rites. Finally, as the sun began to rise, he lowered his hands. "It is done," he whispered, his voice hoarse with exhaustion. "The Phi Pob is trapped." He pointed to a small clay pot, sealed with wax. Inside, he explained, the spirit was bound. It was a temporary solution, he warned, for the Phi Pob could never truly be destroyed. The pot had to be guarded always lest the evil within escape. Life slowly began to return to a semblance of normalcy. The fear that had gripped our village began to recede, replaced by a cautious hope. But the memory of the Phi Pob lingered, a dark shadow in the back of our minds. The clay pot containing the trapped spirit became a sacred relic, guarded day and night by the bravest of our villagers. We lived with the constant reminder of the evil that lurked just beneath the surface, waiting for its chance to break free. The village was safe for now, but the fear remained, a constant companion that would never truly leave us. Years have passed since the Phi Pob terrorized our village. It was a time of unimaginable horror, a time when the very air seemed thick with dread. The nights were the worst, filled with the sounds of whispers and the feeling of unseen eyes watching your every move. The memory of that time still sends shivers down my spine. Even now I can recall the paralyzing fear that gripped us all. We were prisoners in our own homes, too afraid to venture out after dark. The mere mention of the Phi Pob would send children into fits of terror and adults into a somber silence. The fear, though dulled by time, lingers like a ghost itself. It haunts the corners of our minds, emerging in the dead of night when the world is quiet and shadows seem to move on their own. It's a fear that has become part of our very being, woven into the fabric of our lives. We rebuilt our lives, but we never forgot the lessons learned. The village came together, united by our shared trauma. We worked side by side, rebuilding homes and lives, always with a wary eye on the horizon. The bonds we formed in those dark days are unbreakable, forged in the fires of fear and survival. We learned that even in the most peaceful of places, darkness can lurk. The serene landscapes and tranquil days can hide the most sinister of secrets. We became more vigilant, more aware of the subtle signs that something was amiss. The village may look peaceful now, but we know better than to let our guard down. We learned that ancient legends hold a grain of truth. The stories told by our elders, once dismissed as mere folklore, took on a new significance. We pored over old parchments and listened intently to the tales passed down through generations. Each story, each legend, was a piece of the puzzle, a clue to understanding the terror that had befallen us. And we learned that some things are best left undisturbed. The ancient ruins and forgotten places, once the subject of idle curiosity, became places of dread. We understood that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, some doors are not meant to be opened. The past holds its secrets tightly, and sometimes it's best to let them remain buried. The Phi Pob may be trapped, but the memory of its terror serves as a constant reminder. We live with the knowledge that the evil we faced is not truly gone. It's a shadow that looms over us, a dark presence that we can never fully escape. The fear is a part of us now, a constant companion that whispers in the dark. There are some evils that never truly die. They linger in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike. The Phi Pob is one such evil, a malevolent force that we know could return. We live with that knowledge, always prepared, always vigilant. The darkness is never far away, and we must be ready to face it when it comes. They wait, watching, for the moment to rise again. The Phi Pob and others like it are patient, biding their time in the dark corners of the world. We must remain ever watchful, ever ready, for the day when they emerge from the shadows once more. The fear remains, but so does our resolve. We will not be caught unawares again.